Yo, 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 yo.
Happy Friday, people.
What's going on, man? Well, welcome to Who's the Deadbeat. Uh right now y'all should know what time it is, man. We allow people to come up and share their stories of who's the deadbeat in their situation. We try to highlight parental alienation and
If you're new to our channel, thank you for joining us. Now you got me saying I was thinking about all the he was saying. Now I'm saying please, everybody, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to reach 2,000 subscribers. So before we get started, Who's the Deadbeat is not liable or liable for any litigations or court proceedings that you may be in the process of or any to follow thereafter the interview. So please keep in mind, don't say anything that, could put you in jeopardy if you are fighting a custody case or anything of that sort. Just try to be mindful, be
yeah,
respectful.
yeah, and no videos come down.
No videos come down. And yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah.
We thought tonight was gonna be a light night, but got quite a few guests, so bear with us, be patient, allow, somebody that before you to tell their story, and we'll get to you as soon as they are done. So
Okay.
first up we have Maya.
Um,
Hello.
so yeah, I'm kind of nervous, but
It's okay. You don't have
I
to be. You don't have
think
to be. We're gonna ask questions and we'll allow you to answer.
okay,
We're just having a conversation, so think of it that way.
okay,
Okay.
all
So
right.
where are you calling us from?
I actually live in Ohio. I live,
Ohio.
yeah.
Okay. All right. And how many kids do you have?
I have two. I have a 16-year-old and a 5-month-old.
By the same men or two different fathers?
Two different men.
Okay. So you reached out to us because you wanted to share your story. So we have to ask you,
Who's
who's
the
the deadbeat?
deadbeat?
Definitely the daddy, my daughter's daddy, my 5-month-old.
Okay, so you have a infant, and
Mm-hmm.
her father is the one that you're trying to be telling us about today.
Yes.
Okay, so were you guys together in a relationship, or was it a situationship, or were you married, or what was that?
We were off and on for like 8.5 years. We had broke up for 2 years, got back together, and then we had her. She definitely was conceived in love, but it slowly went downhill like through the pregnancy. So
So who broke the relationship off for the last time? Because you said you guys were on and off for quite some time.
it was like a mutual thing. I kind of had started doing me, and then he kind of just went his way, and I just let him. I didn't like pursue him or try to get my relationship back going. So
Okay, so get us to why you are saying he's a deadbeat. What are some of the things that he's doing? Because she's only 5 months old, so
that's
what
why
has
it's
happened in a
crazy.
5 month time frame that you're calling him a deadbeat already?
Okay, so towards like even I'll just start at the end of my pregnancy where I was like extremely big. Like I have a 100-pound dog, and he wouldn't like you won't even walk the dog. I'm being dragged around by this big ass dog while I'm 9 months pregnant, like, and you just running around doing you. And then when I had her, he didn't show up while I gave birth. He didn't cut the umbilical cord. He barely came around for like the first 5 months. Like he's not been around. Like he's been around the past week, really spending time with her. But before that, he hasn't. Like he comes like once, maybe twice a month, if that. He doesn't do shit
So
for her.
during this time of the pregnancy, was y'all split up already?
No, we didn't split up until about 6 months in the pregnancy.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
he started staying out, etc. My son was staying with me. He lives with his father now, but my son was staying with me at that time, and my son's not the watch be out all night and then come in the morning, and that's just hella disrespectful. When I'm pregnant, like I'm just not going for it. So I put him out.
Okay, so it's you. Okay, your mic is kind of scratchy. So get stable. Okay. So basically, what we're hearing is you didn't like some of the things he was doing to you or like in the relationship. Why does that make him a deadbeat to his child?
Can you get stable for us? Stationary?
Sorry, I'm not
Okay.
Okay.
That'll work.
So yeah, like first thing you said was that he didn't walk a dog. I mean, in the world we live in, just because a man don't help you around the house, that doesn't like necessarily make him a deadbeat. He could be a shitty boyfriend. I can't hear you. Something is wrong with your mic. I
Yeah,
don't
we
know
can't
what
hear
it
you.
is.
It just sounds like some paper balling up. All right, there it goes. It stopped now. All right, it's back.
what should I do? I'm sorry. I was do. Um, no, I think more so the him not coming around since she's been born, him not doing stuff for her. That's what makes me
We can't hear you. Like it's real
It's
bad.
a bad
It's
connection.
a bad connection.
It was okay at first. Okay. Mm, it's something wrong with your microphone. You may have to end it and come back.
But yeah, you might have to end it and come back.
We're gonna move on to the next.
do I click this? Okay.
Uh,
Okay, we're gonna allow her to get her
Self situation.
situation together with the mic and all that, and then we'll move on to the next guest because we do have quite a few people in the queue, and we want to be fair for everybody who's waiting. Scott,
Are you ready?
are you ready to go? Because we're coming to you next.
Scott,
Turn on your mic.
can't hear you. There we go. No, we can't hear you. It's Friday, man. We're gonna give y'all a break tonight.
All the technical difficulties. He look like he got a whole podcast set up.
I hope he don't make us go viral like they be doing. Nah,
We're trying to be patient so that
yeah.
you can
No, we can't hear you. Still can't hear you. Nope. For y'all that's watching, man, just be patient with us. It's Friday, man. Y'all gotta give us some grace, man. They say you unmuted, but we still can't hear you.
it's probably something with the way you got your headphones connected to the phone or something, but we cannot hear you.
Okay.
We gonna
We're gonna kick
kick
you
you
in
out
and
and
then just
come
come back
back in.
in.
And kick that second one out too. Whew, it's been a long day, so we're really trying to be patient because I already uh was ready to go live earlier due to try Maya again.
All right, we're gonna go back to Maya.
Let's see. Well, Scott, while you getting your mic situated, we're gonna go back to
We're
Maya.
gonna come back to you. All right, we back.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Much better. So, like I was saying, you mentioned he didn't walk the dog. I mean, in our world, that's not a deadbeat just because he didn't walk the dog. But I know you were saying that he just wasn't being supportive to you in your pregnancy. A lot of women, measure, their child's father up to that when that is just what he is to you and how he's not helping you out. But that doesn't mean that once the baby is born, he's not going to show up. But again, you did say he's been popping in and out. If he's been there for the last week, how is that? That's not enough for you to not want to come on here and blast him because it's fairly new. Is this his first child?
It keeps breaking up. No, I think I'm just mean like, can you guys hear me? Okay, so
Yes.
I mean, like after I had her, like that was just like the beginning of it. But like after I had her, it's like you don't come around, you don't help, and like I wanted an abortion, he wanted the baby. So like I ended up
Mm.
keeping her, and she's a blessing. I love her to death. I don't regret it at all. But it's like, when you push that line, I expect you to be there and I expect you to help me with her and I expect you to do for her and not just be like, figure it out. I know you ain't got no one to watch her. I have trust issues. I'm not leaving my daughter with just anybody. Can't nobody just watch my daughter. So therefore, I don't really have a lot of people. I'm from California. I'm not from Ohio. So if I don't have a lot of people that I can trust with her, I need to be able to depend on you so that I can work and provide for her, especially when you're not. So that's my thing. You know what I'm saying? So
So when he's been there, the times that he has come around, how is that?
just
Because I asked, is this his only child, or does he have other children?
he has other children, but see, he hasn't even introduced our daughter to nobody in his family. She's 5 months. Like it's crazy, yeah. And he got like a side chick and stuff. And so for Christmas, I had got tipsy and I told his girlfriend that we had a child and like it was shit hit the fan. And so that's why he's been here the last week with his daughter. And I just feel like it's hella fake too. Like you ain't been here, so now that you beefing with this girl, now you want to get to know your daughter so much. Like
But that I'm trying. That don't even make sense. Why would he tell her if was you the side chick or she was the side chick? I'm
oh, he was
confused.
back and forth for like between both of us for years. When I met him, he left her. We got together. They didn't deal with each other for like a year or two, and then they started messing around on the side. He was still living with me, so it's been a back and forth thing between the both of us for about 8 years. But I'm the only
So
one.
now that the girlfriend or side chick, because
It's his
I'm
girlfriend. We not together.
okay, so she can't be both, right?
Yeah.
So if she knows about the baby now, was it like a nasty interaction where you
It
can't
was.
talk to her? Would you mind if she was involved and she wanted to co-parent better with the baby? Would that be okay with you, or how is that? How do you feel about that?
I think I would be okay with it. Like after some time, I don't think I would trust her right away with my child. Given the fact that I know she feels some type of way. So like I said, I had troubles with my son. Like you really can't trust people that you think you can trust with your kids. So at the end of the day, like my daughter, I'm not making the same mistake. So like over time, I would probably trust her, but not immediately. It would definitely be some time.
So when you say he hasn't introduced the baby to family or like told people, like what is it? Because it's still kind of new.
Yeah.
She's only 5 months. She's still a baby, and he probably wasn't comfortable with the way you guys' relationship was going to even do anything. You said he has a girlfriend. He hasn't been telling her. It's just basically, what is it that you guys talked about? Like, I know you said he wanted you to have a baby, but if he's coming over and you like, how are you? What are the plans for the future?
He be on some we're always gonna be together shit, and I'm kind of like over it. I just want him to be there for my daughter. Like, you need to be there. Like we don't have no court proceedings going on between us, but he has his own issues, and there's a chance that you might not be able to be there. You have to take this time for as value and like spend time with her. You know what I'm saying? Get to know her because there's gonna be a chance that you're not gonna be able to be here. So like
Okay.
it just bothers me.
And so you wanted to share your story just to raise the awareness for if he could potentially see your message because you don't think you could get this across to him, or what was the
I kind
reason
of
that
wanted
you?
some insight. I thought like maybe I could get some input, like if I'm thinking wrong or am I looking at it the wrong way or what? Because I have a lot of animosity towards the situation. I think like it's fucked up. So
Have
um,
you been doing anything that's bitter behavior?
most definitely, like I said, I reached out to the girlfriend, and I wasn't very nice when I broke the news to her.
Like
And
what?
so
Like what's not very nice?
it was more so like she just like I don't I
You breaking up?
ended up I was drunk, so I don't really remember the conversation, but I do know that I was like, girl, boom, like we have a whole daughter over here. And she just started flipping out.
Mm.
Yeah.
So what about the anything bitter like towards him, like not letting him see the kid when you mad
No,
or anything like
never,
that?
never. No, I begged him to come see our daughter.
Okay. All right.
It's gonna be a wild one.
Yeah.
Maya, get it together. And then after we're done with everybody else, we'll give you our 2 cents on how we think you should handle the situation going forward. Okay.
Yeah.
Scott.
You're up. All right. We can hear you.
Maya
We
will
got
be back.
audio. All right,
Hi
welcome
Scott,
back.
how are you?
I'm all right. How you doing?
We all good. We all good. Where you calling from?
Florida.
Florida.
Yeah,
Okay.
South Florida, Port St. Lucie.
Okay.
All right. Well, we gonna hop right into it. How many kids do you have?
I have three kids. Two with the most recent one, the most recent ex. So that's my thorn in the side.
So that's the one. So you have one that's being alienated.
None of they're both being alienated. My oldest is 29. She's got that's from
Okay.
different relationship early on in life. So she's got three. I have three grandkids with her, but my second, uh,
Okay. Gotcha.
the most recent, I have a 10 and a 9 year old. So I had a big gap in between the first two. And that's the one where I'm having a lot of issues.
Oh,
So were you guys married or was it like a situationship or like what was the
No, we,
status?
we were married together 12 years, married for 10
Okay. So
years.
now you're divorced.
Yep.
Who
As of
ended
last,
it?
well, it was kind of, there was a lot of, I got into a situation early to where I met somebody at my age at 37, the same age as I was, and my first marriage didn't. I didn't have a marriage, but it was a situationship relationship. We
Mhm.
had a kid. I was 20 years old. What it was, it didn't go the way that I wanted to go. Later in life, when I met somebody else, I wanted to make sure that I found someone to have kids with. I could have a family with. Well, I met somebody who was about my same age, didn't have kids at all, no kids from a previous marriage or anything. Never married one time early in life, but 6 months after that, they got divorced. But I didn't realize at the time I was kind of like not desperate, I guess I would say, but I was really like, oh, you know what, this is perfect. 37, we both don't, we want the same things in life. Me being older, I wanted that family, the nuclear family thing that just to be a part of. I didn't have that growing up. Grew up from a broken family, and I didn't want that for my kids. And so I really wanted to put that to the best, make the best out of it. And I didn't realize, maybe there was a reason why she was 37, didn't have kids. Parents grabbed onto me quickly too. I mean, great parents. I don't have a problem with their parents, but they played a key part into me becoming a part of their family and encouraging our relationship. Now I'm kind of
right.
understanding why, because there's a lot of dependency from her, where her older sister was married from her high school sweetheart 3 years older than her. They've been married for almost 30 years. They had two kids in college, and she didn't have that. So I came along, somebody wanted to have kids at 37 late in life. And I realized, though, I'm from Oklahoma. We live in Florida. When she met my mom, there was an issue. Like she had a problem with my mom, like, little things with everybody close to me. My daughter, who was about a teenager, 14 or 15 at the time, and we were rebuilding a relationship that was troubled from her teenage years.
Mhm.
And she always started, I would say it was like I mean, maybe made up problems, things that she wanted to say, well, I don't appreciate her treating you like this. I don't, I found the alienation now looking back happened early in the relationship, little pieces at a time. I didn't realize it. I didn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Or
So
maybe,
you were ignoring a lot of red flags.
oh yeah. And maybe I didn't want to see them. Maybe I was like, okay, there's a lot more good because that was a love bombing stage. where I was getting, like, you're the best thing ever. And if my parents say anything bad about you, if any, she had my back and she made me feel like I was the most important person in her life. Kids came along. I take that back. Our wedding, my best man and his wife, well, she had a problem with his wife. They liked, at first they met, but it was that when we went to go hang out, there was always a superficial issue that she had a problem with them. Like, I don't, and just I couldn't be with anybody with outside of her family.
Well, how did she feel about your best man? Did she have a problem with him?
No, not at all.
So there's all women, other women.
It seems like other women, my daughter, my mom, my best man's wife, who was my friend before my best man was. So
Okay.
we were friends, and then they started dating, and me and him became good friends and became my best friend.
Got it.
So
So
it,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
so fast forward, we moved to a different part of the state. She moved with me, and her parents moved with us. They moved next door. They got a lot of money, so they can afford to do this stuff. And I didn't realize it then too either, but there was little small issues. And from what I'm seeing now, there was like little conversations that I caught her having with my son on the monitor. When my son was mad at her, something at a younger age, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, she would say, caught her on the monitor one night saying, "Why are you talking to me like daddy talks to me?" And that was the first time I was like, why? What is she doing?
Yeah.
Because and I caught her after when she came out of the bedroom. I said, what are you doing? I said, if I ever hear you doing something like that again, we're like, that was when I said, we're done. She backed off for a while. There wasn't a lot going on. Maybe there was more behind my back that I wasn't aware of. And I'm sure there was, because eventually she's a teacher. We moved up here into a certain part of, North Central Florida, the Treasure Coast. 4 years in a row as a teacher. She'd been a teacher for 18 something years, 18 years. She was fired 4 years in a row up here. And the fourth time that they fired her, not only did they fire her, they banned her from working in I almost said it, in the county. And then after the county, she got to finish out her school year the last week, but she went back to school when they told her that she wasn't going to be coming back to the county. She told the kids at school that they had fired her, and she's not supposed to tell the kids this stuff. So one held a sign up in the camera and said justice for, Miss So-and-so. And then what happened is that what she did was that the next day, the HR department from the county's school district came down and they escorted her off of campus. We were still married at the time. This was just last year, 2023.
So
you're newly divorced.
So
yeah.
Recent.
Yeah. So how long have you been alienated from your kids?
Well, here's the tricky thing about this. The alienation process is still happening. So we got divorced. So what happened is that after she got fired, she took a job in a different county. She quit that after 2 weeks because she said she hated it so much. And I came home one night, her mom was in our bedroom because they lived next door to us. And she was crying like, yeah, she was crying and upset. And she was like, her mom came up to me and said, she can't go back to that school anymore. If she doesn't like it, she's going to run her van into a wall if she has to drive back to that school. I'm like, that's not this strong woman who's an alpha, like this personality. All of a sudden is going to be, she's fired 4 years in a row and everything, she's trying to feel pity for herself. Her parents told her, look, if you quit, we'll help you pay the bills until you find a new job. She asked me and I told her, I was like, find a new job and then you can quit. But she didn't like that answer. So she went to her parents and they told her what she wanted to do. And so she quit. And
they
then
sound like enablers of her behavior.
Yeah, absolutely, 150.
And they're keeping her within close proximity. If you're married, your parents do not need to live next door to you.
That's weird.
Or with you and your spouse, unless that's the type of situation that requires it. But it's already giving that they were keeping a close watch on her for whatever reason, probably about something that you don't know about.
Well, yeah, there's a long story to this. I'm telling you, it gets deeper and deeper as we get into it. So what happened was is that her parents, I love her parents were great to me. I never had a problem with them. They were very supportive of our relationship, and they did a lot to help us in our relationship too when we needed it. Never tried to say anything bad about our relationship. They were very into it until she came along and started saying, "Oh well, Scott did this, Scott," and then she was breaking the bond between me and her parents. She already severed it between, trying to break it with everybody else close to me. Then it became with her parents. So of course they're going to take her side. But after she quit, the real alienation started where my youngest son, he was an instigator. Maybe not so much now, but he was then, where he would go and he would mess with his older brother, and then his older brother would chase him into the other room to where mom was, and he'd be screaming and crying, and she would be yell at the older brother saying, "Hey, why are you chasing him?" And then the older brother would get in trouble for chasing his brother, who started something when I saw it happen. And this is one night that happened where literally I watched him do something, and then he took off chasing him to the room, and then he came back in there. Jake, why are you chasing your brother? Why are you chasing your brother? I said, well, Brady started it. And then Brady goes, no, I didn't. Why do you always say I started it? And then she said, yeah, you always say he starts it. Well, I was like, I was in here. I watched him start it. You should be on my side. So then this whole started happening to where she started to letting him believe whether he wanted, she didn't have to say it. He just started to believe it because she started backing him up on what he was feeling, that I loved his older brother more because he looked like me. And yeah, and this is, and I mean, and that this night,
that's a red flag that a lot of people don't even pay close attention to. That's definitely a trait of someone that would alienate their kids to
yeah,
separate them.
there's a lot of
It actually always almost starts in the home, right? Before the separation. It's already there. It's just
yeah.
you have to be educated enough to recognize it. And
I
so
did.
that's yeah.
I didn't. I saw the little red flags, like you said earlier, but I did not. I did not see exact. I thought it was just little stuff. I
Yeah.
didn't realize
So let
the
me ask you this: did you even know what parental alienation was at the time?
no.
Yeah. So that's
Oh,
how could you know? You just know something is weird about
It's
it.
just seeming like, a spit spat between you and your spouse about the kids, like parenting, differences, like because we know that happens. But when it's to divide and
And,
conquer and turn one kid against the other parent,
yeah.
that's
And
not a typical
yeah,
co-parenting
especially when you put the
situation.
kids in the middle of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it got really bad that night to where I mean, at this point I was like, I said I started recording because it got so bad to where she was I was still arguing with my son about, you think I love him more? Like when I see him do something wrong, I get on to him. And she would laugh in the background, like, yeah, right. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm talking to my son. It was just, I was so blown. It was like I was in a movie. I was like, I can't
Yeah.
believe, I was like, am I really seeing this? Is this really happening right now? Like, you're really just going to sit there and just take up my son's side and let him believe that I love the other one more after 10 years of marriage. I mean, this got to the point to where after she was fired 4 years and lost her job, and keep in mind, when she got fired, I called the school board. I called the superintendent or emailed them and like, what? I need to know answers. I need to know what happened. What exactly went down. She was escorted off of campus. They came and took her out of her second hour class. She called me on the phone and said, hey, they're taking me down to the office. I want you to be on the phone to find out what's going on. At this time, we're married. And I hear the whole conversation that what's going on. And I asked them, why are y'all making her leave right now? Why can't she finish out the next 2 weeks of her school year? Well, apparently she went in and told the kids that she got fired and was trying to turn the kids against the administration to get favoritism for herself to maybe make herself look better.
Yeah.
So
So
So why did she get fired?
I don't know. If I want to know, I've asked my attorneys to subpoena the court record or for that information. There's
I mean,
public information.
do you have like any
idea.
yeah, like is it anything that you
Well,
speculate about
well,
it or
well, yeah, because she's hard to get along with. She had a contract in the other county that we lived in, and she worked there for 20 something years. After the first year, you're contracted into the county unless you really do something that's going to really require. They can't just fire you without a
yeah,
reason.
for them to get rid of her that way, it had to be something that was really, really
So let me ask you this:
bad.
are y'all guys divorced right now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So get us to the point where
The last straw, like
yeah, the last straw where y'all
what?
separated.
Yeah, what was that?
So the last straw was that when she started doing that with my son, telling him, "Hey, listen, we're or not, or letting him believe that I love the other son, my oldest one, better."
More.
Or
Okay.
And it finally got to a point to where she was not backing down. Like I would tell her, I was like, "Why? What do you?" And then she was like, and she would just ignore me. And then I told her, I said, "If you do that another time, we're done. I promise you." And we were not having. I mean, we had our issues, but at this point, we wasn't like this. And this, it's been years, but it finally got to a point to where I said, if you can turn my son against me like that, you don't love me, and I cannot stay with you. I can't respect myself if I can stay with someone that's going to turn my kids against me. I
So
don't want
so
you in
at
my.
at that moment when you said that, did you ever think that it could get worse?
No, by any means. I had no that it could get worse. Here's what happened is it was in November of 23, and I was already planning, like, look, after the Christmas and holidays, of course, what's that everyone does when they're going through this stuff, they wait till after the holidays for the kids. I was gonna file for divorce. It happened probably a couple of weeks later that I got served at work. And I was
Mm.
like,
Also, she beat you to the punch.
yeah, well, because I already told her, I was like, if you keep doing this, I'm like, we're done. And I was serious too. She knew how I was serious, but here's what she wanted to do. At that point, when I told her, if you keep doing this to my kids, she lost control of me. She wanted to bring me back in because I told her, I said, if you keep doing this, I'm not going to allow you to do it. We're done. You don't, like I was serious with her and she took me serious. So she wanted to make sure that I was in control, that she was still in control. So here's what happened. This is what's really going to blow your mind. So she filed for divorce. I got
Mm-hmm.
served at work. I get off at like 2 o'clock. I didn't come home until about 8 o'clock that night. I came home. I gave her a smile. She was in the kitchen. I went in and played with my kids. I completely ignored the fact and I just let it go. Went to work the next day, came home. She was in the kitchen and she was crying. She was saying, I think I made a big mistake. I think I did a mistake. And I was like, I, I had no feelings at that point. Like there was, her emotions
Mm-hmm.
were up and down. She could be mad and then crying and all over the place. There's a lot more going on with her mentally than I think that in my attorney.
All of them.
No, I mean like literally, like she's got some emotional. There's something more to
That's
her.
imbalanced there, huh?
Yeah, because she could go from one extreme to the other with that, and then that other is like it's so cold. It's amazing how you can go from so compassionate and feeling to like just coldness. So what happened was, and then she filed, and so the next day she was like, "I think I made a big mistake," and I told her, I was like, "I don't love you anymore. I mean, you're turning my kids against me. I can't love someone like that." And then she
Mm-hmm.
to work it out, and no, I'm good. I went and got an attorney. I
So
said
why didn't you try?
I've tried multiple times.
Okay,
This was my breaking point. And when you turn my
gotcha.
kids against me, if she's going to turn my kids against me now, and then I'm looking back about some of the other things, I'm like, this is not going to lead us anywhere good.
Yeah, it was
And
already
So
happening.
what was that like? Them last days and you in the house, knowing that y'all finna have a divorce.
so here's the thing: we owned the house together, and we lived in the house together. We actually slept in the same bed for about 3 or 4 months. Well, maybe not that long. Maybe about 2.5 months. And to the point to where I just was sleeping on the couch, and then we went to mediation. But during this time, after finally, when she realized, because she asked me for 3 weeks, I think you have 40 days to turn your affidavits to really to like say, okay, this is the point to where there's no return from that point in the divorce process. And she asked me for several weeks, do you want to work it out? Do you want to work it out? Do you want to work it out? And I like, I'm not. This is, you want control of me. You don't have control. It's the only reason why I didn't tell her this, but in my mind, I knew she was just trying to regain control. And that's what she wants. And that's how these, narcissists work. And once, and they
So
get you
you
back.
think she's a narc?
Oh, 100. And yes, absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. And the only way I can prove that is by having her evaluated and just
Exactly.
and sent
I'm glad you
court.
said that because it's such a trendy word. We don't really like to use it because you
Yeah.
do need a professional to diagnose someone to actually call them a narcissist. It's just one of those things, but everybody has narcissistic traits. It's
Yeah.
just if you have the whole package, and I mean, you would know better than us. But again, like you said, she would have to be evaluated.
Yeah.
So did it get a little bit more intense around there as far as her
Oh
trying to
yeah.
divide the family?
Oh yeah, because she wanted to not only that, because it came down to like the day before our financial affidavit. She's like, "Are you want to? Do you want to work this out?" And I told her, I said, "No." And she's like, "I'm not going to ask you again." And then just everything changed. It went from like, I want to work on this. It's our family, blah blah blah. And then I said no. And she's like, "I'm not going to ask you again." And it just kind of went like, and then after that, it was literally, I mean, the videos that I have of her turning my kids against me and videotaping me while me trying to break up my kids and let it while they're fighting and videotaping me and saying, look, he can't even control his own kids. So she started to try to collect evidence that I was a bad dad and started videotaping me. And then I was like, are you really like my kids? My boys are fighting. They're 16 months apart. They're 9 and 8 years old. And she's videotaping me, telling like, look, he can't even stop protect, control his kids. And I'm like, why don't you help? Why don't you be a mom and help me out here? I said, I want that video. Send it to me. I mean, my son's like hitting me with toys and she's standing behind them, just pretty much egging it on for them to give me
Acting
this.
like a child herself,
Yeah.
like it's three kids standing there.
She,
That is unbelievable.
Oh yeah, and then so eventually one night I came home. We weren't eating dinner together anymore, and I came home a little bit late. I went and got some wings. I had some wings, and they were all done with dinner. One son was in the shower. She was in our bedroom. The other kid was in his bedroom, and I was eating in the kitchen and listening to some music on the Alexa, and it wasn't loud. My son's music and his Alexa in the bathroom was much louder than mine. And I was in there by myself, just kind of just minding my own business. And she comes in and she goes, Alexa, turn that down. And then she walks back out of the kitchen. And I said, Alexa, turn it up. It's because a normal listening level, nothing loud. I wasn't blaring it. And then she comes in and takes the Alexa out of the kitchen and runs into my son's bedroom. And then I'm like, what are you doing? So I start recording because it was just weird behavior. And then I fall in there and in my son's room with the Alexa, and my son is in there too. And she's acting like it's a big fight or something
Yeah,
like.
that's petty.
And I'm like, what's going on? And then finally I have my foot in the door because she's trying to like close the door on me. I was like, what is happening right now? And I said, you know what? I moved my foot. I went and got in the shower. I said, I'm leaving for tonight. And we went and got in the shower. I came out of the shower. The cops were outside. She called the cops on me, trying to have me arrested, saying when she was shutting the door that I did something to her and she got a scratch. But I had video.
Oh
She
my
had.
God.
The cop said, "You know what? There's nothing here, so we're gonna go. So, and you're gonna leave tonight." I said, "Yeah, I'm leaving." So I left and I came back, and I went the next day, and then nothing happened for a while, and then we went to mediation. But all this started happening with my kids, the alienation, trying to make it look like my kids don't respect me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That she really started to turn them against me, saying bad things,
So
and
now your older son is
Oh
being
Lord.
is on board now too, huh?
well, one of the first things is that my son had been acting up the first of this school year, and he wasn't. He's gifted. He's passed a gifted test. He's smart, so his attention is a little. He doesn't. If he knows something, he doesn't need to sit there and learn it. He'll ace the test by just reading. He's one of those kids that can absorbs everything, and he regurgitates it like it's just coming off the tip
Is
of.
he on the spectrum?
No, no, he's just a very smart kid. He's
Mhm.
very smart. He reads a lot. He's very intelligent. But I had learned some things about some of these vitamins that we may be taking that we can't methylate properly, and about some gene mutations that I started reading and learning about. So I told her, I was like, let's try and put him on some methylated vitamins to make sure that if he's not getting the vitamins he needs, the methylated vitamins offer him, they're absorbable for everybody. So some people can't absorb certain vitamins, and then that's causes them some behavioral issues. And one of the things is the folic acid that in the bread that he may not be able to methylate very well, which folic acid is a synthetic form. I'm not sure if you know what it is, but it's folate.
Definitely do. It's in prenatal vitamins.
Right, right.
I'm
And
very familiar with it.
which is
Oh, got me.
which
Of course, you didn't have
Just
to take
now
it.
that you mentioned that, which has been linked to postpartum depression.
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
so this was, and I was telling her about it, and she was like, "Well, I don't care because you saw it on the internet. I don't believe you." I'm like, "It's our son," and so she said I couldn't give him those vitamins, and they were just regular like folic acid, B12, methylated and D3, I think it was, and
So
then I get
you felt that he had some type of uh
well
deficiencies
that was causing him to be
that was
hyper.
causing him to behave
At
bad.
school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because yeah,
smart kid. Yeah.
On top of his parents having a divorce as
right. On
well.
Well,
top of
that
him being exposed
that
to parental
wasn't
alienation, all of this stuff causes psychological damage.
right, but that divorce wasn't happening yet. So what happened?
Oh,
This
okay.
one of the issues why she decided to file for divorce is that I was also giving him these little when I went to the GNC, they said that these little mushroom capsules were great for to help them focus. So I bought them for him and I gave them to him, but they look like regular capsules that you would, like you could see through, like with an herb in it or something. And
Mhm.
so I had magnesium in my cabinet. And after she told me I couldn't give them to him, I was putting them in his drawer in his nightstand so he would take them in the morning without her knowing. And whether that was right or wrong, we could debate that or not. But I was trying to do what's best for him. It's vitamins, which nothing was going to hurt him.
I
Well,
mean, you can't really tell someone how to parent their child. I mean,
right.
so I mean, you're saying right or wrong in terms of sharing it with your spouse. You guys already disagreed on it. So it's not like it would have been a healthy medium to come to some type of compromise. She didn't
Right.
want you to give him the vitamins. So and you wanted to give them to him. So I mean, I don't know if it's really a factor of right or wrong. I just think that you choosing a parent how you think what's in his best interest. But did you guys ever take him to like a pediatrician to kind
Well,
of?
what she did is that she found out and then she called the pediatrician, showed him the vitamins I was giving him besides the mushroom one, and showed him my magnesium and asked the pediatrician, are these good for my son? I was giving my son 3 of those mushroom capsules. And so she told him I was giving him 3 magnesium adult doses, which is
Yeah.
only one a day. And the doctor told her that I could cause him long-term brain damage by giving him a 3 times the amount of adult dosage of magnesium. And when that was I think part of the thing that really pushed her over the edge to file for divorce. And when I told her and I explained to her when she brought it to my attention that I wasn't giving him magnesium, it all of a sudden went away. And that's when I think she started feeling like she made a mistake. But she told my son and let him believe that that what I was giving him was going to cause him long-term brain damage. And not to this day,
Wow.
told me that she's corrected him, but she has not because I've asked my son and he says no. And then another time, so post divorce, we
Wait,
after
before you get there, I was gonna ask, did any of this medical history come up in the divorce in the court proceedings?
no,
Was it talked
nothing at
about?
all. She dropped it. She didn't bring it back
Okay.
up one time because she realized that she was wrong in what she did. So she didn't want to use that because I already dispelled it for her. Already
Well, from a morality standpoint, that's surprising. She wanted to keep her marriage, so maybe she decided, okay, this isn't a good idea to use this as a tactic. But the reason I'm asking is because had she been on a full smear campaign and did not want to, salvage
Mhm.
the marriage, she definitely would have used that information in the court proceedings to make you look like a bad father. And
Yeah.
so, for people that's watching, when you have instances where you don't agree with the other parent regarding the health of your child or anything that's medical related, you want to document your side as well, that you spoke to the pediatrician and you came to the conclusion this and that, so that you can have this evidence for court. Because if they go against you in court with just one side and it's documented in the medical file, whatever the other parent told the pediatrician, and you have nothing to back up your claims, it is definitely going to work against you. So I just wanted
Yeah.
to add that. But go
Yeah.
ahead.
But I had it. I had everything. I had all my everything ready to go. So fast forward after mediation, I got
Post
50.
divorce.
So 50 after our mediation, Florida statute is 50-50. It changed the July
The
before.
law, yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
got lucky.
Right. We
Yeah,
were going to say 50-50 state when you said Florida because we haven't, I don't think we've interviewed anyone that's from Florida just yet on the platform. But
We have a buddy that's there, and
right,
he real up on the laws there.
yeah.
yeah, and 50-50, a lot of states haven't reached that point. So that was a good thing for Florida to get there for dads because it gives you guys that equal,
Yeah.
custody.
But you probably would have got there anyway because you guys was married, so that automatically give you your rights,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would be a little tougher because they were still trying to true, like bombs rights or whatever. But it's right
Yeah.
now. My attorney said you have to shock the courts to not get 50-50. There has to be something really. They're tired of hearing the fights. They're tired of hearing the same thing over and over again from couple after couple. Where Florida said, finally, you know what? It's presumed 50-50, and that's how it should be for the kids' best interest.
Yeah.
I got 50-50. I mean, she was trying everything during mediation to just to paint me as a bad dad and trying to everything that she could to do that. And there was no evidence behind it beside the fact that she was just trying to show him those videos. So after we
So
got
what you think her motive was behind that? Like
what's that?
to not let you see the kid, like, and she
Well,
know this.
because she didn't want to give up 50-50. She those kids are her source of happiness. She doesn't have friends outside. She didn't get along with people at work. Her family lives right next door. Her mom and her dad. She's so close to them. Does everything with them on the weekends. It goes to lunch. They pay for everything. They do a lot of things, and that's great for them. I'm not knocking them for that, but she used that. She just that's her source of supply for money and finances when she needs it because they have it, and her kids are her source of happiness because she can control them.
And she didn't want to share that with you. So since you guys weren't going to be together, she felt that she should have them more, or the vast
Y'all
majority,
not
and not
together,
as equal as you.
then you can't. You
She
You don't have the input, right?
exactly.
she didn't want me to have anything. We have a house together that after I got the 50-50, she two other times, another time she called the cops on me, it didn't work. A third time, I had already moved out and I still own the house. The house was on the market at this time. But my friend said, listen, this is the second time she's tried to have you arrested. If you need a place to stay, I got a room. I was like, all right. So until the house sells, I'm going to go back over to the house on my parenting days and spend the days with my kids. And that's when the problem, like when I was there, she was just, oh, you think you're such a good dad? You're going to feed them this. You're going to just constantly just negative in my ear with in front of the kids, just making it look like I don't know what I'm doing. All of a sudden, like I'm not a good dad for them. And she just tried and tried and tried. One day I told her, I said, if you're going to have the kids, it's a Saturday. I said, if you're going to be there, I'm going to take the kids somewhere else. And so she's like, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go do some things. I said, fine. So I went there. We spent the day together, me and the kids. We went to the pool at the clubhouse, came back home, had dinner, cleaned up dinner. We sat down, watched the movie. Everything was a great night. And she came home about 9 o'clock and then just was loud, interrupting our movie and just trying to make it uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
And then finally, she was asking my kids, "What'd y'all do? What'd y'all do today? Oh, we play VR. You let them on VR 3 times today. You're such a good dad. That's so bad for them. Why?" And just making everything negative. Oh, I could hear her open up the dishwasher and looking to see what I made. And she said, "Oh, you made them pasta for dinner. That's a good dinner." I'm like, it was, and that's all they had. And my mother's son was like, "No, he made broccoli and we had like Alfredo pasta." I was like, "Yeah." And we
All
were
of these things that you're explaining are key examples
For
of parental alienation.
alienation for sure.
So
For
so
sure.
this night, like I'm recording her and I'm not responding. I'm letting her just rant because I know what she's doing. So eventually I just said, you know what, it got to a point to where I'm gonna get my things and I'm just gonna go. And I'm supposed to put the kids to bed, it's my night with them. And I just said, I'm not, I was like, I'm just gonna go. And when I told her, I was like, I'm gonna leave, she's like, oh, you're not gonna put the kids to bed tonight? I have my laundry by the front door. She dumped it out onto the sidewalk, spread it out all over the front porch. And then I'm like, what is going? And I'm recording and I'm starting to pick up my stuff. And as I'm picking up my stuff and putting the bags back down by the front door, my son comes over and dumps it back out because she's created this whole like, oh, we're doing this against dad, and they kind of follow her lead, whatever. It just went flip flop. It's like from we had a great day to like all of a sudden she got them to thinking that I was a bad guy from everything that I did all day, and really started putting that into their mind.
So
So
how did that make you feel in that moment when your son did that?
it hurt a lot because at the same time as a dad, I wanted to tell him, like, look, you know what? This is not how you're supposed to treat people. But I told him, I said, Brady, stop it. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. We need it again. I said, Brady, I will spank you. I said, I have the right. I can't discipline. This is not how you're supposed to treat your parents. And she's in the background. Go ahead and spank him. See what happens. And so she's just reinforcing the fact that I can't punish him or she's going to do something about it. Well, what
Like
happened?
she's the one in charge.
Yeah. So she came and I was outside picking up my clothes and I'm recording and I'm just not listening to her. I mean, I'm just trying to ignore her. But my house, my keys and my wallet was inside and she was coming to close the door. And I was like, she's going to log me out the house. I'm going to be stranded here. And for me, that was the moment I reacted. I went up and I just had my phone in my hand and I went up to and I pushed the door so she couldn't. And I said, you're not going to lock me out. And I hit the door and I pushed the door and she goes, ow. And then looks at her arm. She goes, she had a bruise on her arm. She goes, you're going to jail. She called the cops. She called the cops on me. And I was like, fine, call the cops. Cops came out. They looked at her video. They looked at my video. I showed them everything, but there was no significant evidence of if I touched her or not. And the cops arrested me because they had probable cause.
They arrested you?
Yep. They arrested me.
He finally got you, huh?
And after the second time I called, I have friends that are in the police department. I have a sheriff in Indian River County that's a friend of mine. And I called him. I was like, what can I do to protect myself? He said, record everything that you can and make sure you have a tracker on you, because if she says you did something and you're not there and you can't prove that you weren't there, they're going to arrest you anyways. Because all she has to do is her word against yours at this point.
This is so true.
Yeah. So,
so true. The silver bullet, as we,
and that was it.
You know, it's a very commonality thing in what we do and talk about. And a lot of people don't know that, and they don't know how to protect themselves, right? The law enforcement, the court system, all these things are reactive, but we try to encourage our community to be proactive. And number one, when it's so nasty and it's getting messy and the bitterness and the false allegations and all that, like, you have to stay away from this person, right? You have to remove yourself. And I know a lot of people in your instance, you guys shared a property and it was some things where you probably felt you could coexist with her. But I know now that you know in hindsight that was a very bad idea.
See, man, we have a huge problem of just thinking like everything's normal. Like we trying to be non-confrontational. We just like, man, our focus is strictly on the kids.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with a high conflict person like that, man, they out for pure.
It's like
evil.
A ticking time bomb.
So it's like
a boiling pot.
You trying to be nice, but this person is trying to end you.
Yeah. So after that, just real quick, I don't have a lot of time left, but the after that, my attorney gave me some bad advice, said to plead no contest because she got an injunction, like immediate injunction. Then I had the criminal case, and he scared me into taking a no contest plea with that because because of the judge.
Why would your lawyer tell you that?
Well, for this judge that was on the case, he was concerned that if I lost, the judge would give me the maximum sentence, which was a year in jail for something I didn't do. And I could have proved it. I told him, I was like, I can prove this. I can prove this because in the injunction, in the police report, she said I grabbed her arm. And then in the injunction, she realized that in the video that I had my phone in my hand, that I could not have grabbed her arm. So in the injunction, when she had it in family court to get to keep a protection order from me, she said that I punched or touched her arm. And I'm like, there's no, and I could prove it with the video. There was, how my arm was and where her hand was. There was just so much in her story that I could have beat it. But he scared me to the fact, he said, they're offering a plea deal, 6 months, charges are dropped, and you just take some classes and pay some fines. I was like, you know what? I want to focus on the family case. At this point, I had contempt charges because not only after I finally had my first weekend with my full weekend outside of the house with the kids, she tracked me down on a live 360 app where I was because she was demanding where I tell her where I was with the kids on my parenting weekend. I have 50-50. And it was my
nothing.
And she was like, you need to tell me.
How was you having contempt for that? What did you do? Take them out of...
No. I filed contempt against her because what she did is eventually she came to that property where I was and took the kids from me on my parenting weekend because I didn't know where I was. And then she told my son that the fresh water, the clean water lake that my friends have, it has a pump and a drain in it. And it's a fresh water in Florida. And they have like fish. You can see they have a beach and you can swim in it. I let the kids swim in it. She told my son, Jake, who's smart, by the way, knows about parasites, and said that I told him that he was going to get a brain-eating amoeba and could kill him, and I was putting his
Oh
life
my
in danger.
God.
Yeah, and then
Look,
and then
you
they said,
said you don't have that much time. We need to know, where are you today? Like,
Yeah.
did she
well, all right,
get order of protection on you that
no,
stopped you from seeing your
No, he
kids?
got you just settled for the 6 months
I still have
Okay,
fifty
and
and
fifty.
paid the fine.
So
and
at the time, I was staying with some friends, and I finally stayed in an Airbnb for a little bit because I can't get my property. I have one of my kids' furniture. Like I have 50-50 of just about everything. And at this time, I'm bouncing around from Airbnbs into friends' house for a while. I finally found a house for a 4-bedroom, not far from the school. It's a little higher than rent that I wanted to pay, but I found it was a good deal to get in with like a slow deposit. The first weekend, and I told her, I was like, she didn't want me to have my own place and have a place for my kids, and I was going to have my furniture. So the first weekend I had my kids here, she called the cops on me and she manipulated the messages that I had on the parenting app between her and I, and said that my conversation, because I had a no contact order except for written communication on the parenting app, but only about child purposes only.
right.
Well, she'd asked me when I got this place, when are you going to come get the rest of your stuff? And I ignored her a few times. And then she finally said to me, she goes, well, so I said, well, I'll come get them when the courts allow me to. And I don't want the kids to be there. I was keeping it about the kids. So this is a long conversation that she drug out for a while. And in some of those conversations, I said, when can I come get my things? Because when I finally, the first time she agreed, she didn't let me come get them. And it was one of my son's furniture. I bought my other son's bed, and I got the other one. I still need his bed for the other room so they could have a place to sleep. Well, the first night I had them here at my house, she manipulated the messages, showed them 25 screenshots that said, just asking, when can I come get my stuff? Which has nothing to do with the kids. So the cop looked at that and came to the house with my kids the first night that I had them here with me on my weekend, when she could have done this any other time and had me arrested in front of my kids. And I went to jail that night.
What was?
Wow.
How were you arrested? Like, what was
Because
the?
I broke the violation by a no contact order for parenting.
Oh my God.
So they made it look like that I was just
Yeah,
asking.
she didn't
Like,
show. She
I
didn't.
get it.
She
I
didn't show
get
the
it.
rest of the message.
I
She
get
only
it.
showed the
Nope.
part when you said something.
Yep.
This is a lot, and I know people are gonna watch, think we're not paying attention, but it's just so much to take in that I'm following you, but this is a first. Like, we haven't had anyone on the platform tell a story quite like yours,
Yeah.
where it's this is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
she's steady trying to get you on that end so you can potentially end up in prison.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
So then after that, when I got out that day from the next day from jail, I had a order that said it could have written contact only on parenting app. And the paper that I got was right out of the jailhouse. And that was, okay, the judge, I saw him that morning. He told me the same thing. We see the confusion in the orders or whatever. When she got the orders, it was scribbled out. Parenting contact was scribbled out on her orders. So when she got my son's birthday was 2 days later on my parenting day, and she took him out of school and kept him from me all day. And I kept trying to make plans to see him on my parenting time. So she called the cops and said on hers that I wasn't supposed to contact her at all. And then they sent a warrant out for my arrest. I went and paid the warrant because I found out. And then the next day they arrested me anyway. And I I paid the warrant, $500, got out. And the next day they come and arrested me again. And then the next time I spent 18 days in jail because I violated
Wow.
the no
That's
contact
unbelievable.
order for asking about when can I see my kids, because apparently it wasn't supposed to at that time. And the first time I wasn't supposed to say it, when can I come get my things? But in the context of the conversation, it was my things was also my kids' furniture too. But just after days and weeks of talking about it, the conversations kind of concluded to where she just screenshotted things to show the cops. Now I have contempt charges filed since July 3rd, and I still don't have a court date.
Wow.
Wow.
And I don't know what my attorney's doing. I'm trying to get him he says that he's been asking for a court date, but they're still pushing it back. And in the meantime, every week that goes by, it's another contempt, no more contempt. And I'm emailing my attorney, and the fees are racking up and getting higher and higher. So right now,
when's the last time that you've seen your boys?
well, my son Brady, right now I think that she thinks at the point that she's got them enough to where they could just say, well, we don't want to be with our dad. So she doesn't have to do a lot of the legwork anymore. So she's just back trying to be like the good mom. Then it's just like, oh, go see your dad. Well, now she's already got them fearful of me. Brady, my youngest, the first one that she tried to say I didn't love, is the one that I think he sees through it because he still comes over. He still spends time with me. He stayed the night one time since I've been out, but he's not comfortable. Well, I'm still building from scratch. Like I have nothing. I got some furniture. I'm starting to get things. And so I can understand the fact that he's not comfortable in a shell of a house opposed to a home that's
Right.
comfortable with all the stuff in it. I don't
Right.
force it on him. I don't want to put stress on him because of the situation. I'm going to get my things eventually, and then I will have my full time with them once I get my court date. But so him and I are still pretty good, but he will also like to play you know, there's problems because she's putting those little,
Yeah, because it's a trauma bond.
She done
Plus,
planted these
she's
seeds.
brainwashing it. Like it's
but my oldest is he right now he thinks that I've tried to kill him twice.
what?
He's got I've got a lot of work with him. Yeah,
But you know why it's like that? Because think about it. If she was making differences in the home with you was in there, that's imagine what his day-to-day life is like when you're
yeah,
not there. So it's not the fact that he's not wanting to be with you. He's surviving right now.
yeah,
Because if he showed his love for you, just imagine what life would be like for him in the home.
yeah,
Instantly. Like she's
And
already
I'm telling you this from experience.
yeah.
obsessive. So he
Well,
can't even begin to want to think anything good about you. It's just not even an option. Like he
yeah,
has to go along with this routine. And the
yeah.
routine in that household is hate you.
How
Yes,
much time you guys got left?
man.
How much time you got left?
This is
Well,
what we do.
I
This is what we was built for,
Check
man.
this. Cause
do you
we
have like to put on for a minute because my battery is about to die and I need to switch a source so I can plug it in and
go ahead.
We'll let you land your plane. You come on. You come back.
all right, you got somebody else up?
Nope.
Oh no, you ending us for the tonight.
Yep.
Oh, all right. Well, y'all want to resume it another night?
It's totally up to you. We can do a
All right.
part two or we can finish tonight.
Well, I got 1% left on my phone, and I've got my phone and my mic and everything tied into the phone through the charging port. So I have to figure that one out
Okay.
Okay, let's
real
connect
quick, but it may take me
for
a few minutes.
okay.
All right. We'll wait for you. Be gone. Man, that's wild. That's a wild story,
I
man.
just don't I don't know what to say. Like it's not like we haven't experienced some of these things. It's not like we don't know some of the craziest parental alienation stories, but it's the fact of him coming up telling his story, being so transparent, and that this is an ongoing thing where this woman is constantly and continuously trying to ruin him. Like I just don't understand. Now it is fairly new, right? They just were recently divorced. However, we know that parental alienation is something that once it starts, it just doesn't stop. Like you can be hopeful, but if it's happening, it's gonna be a lifelong journey, even for the alienated kids, until forever.
Yeah.
So my heart goes out to those boys. My heart goes out to him. I don't know
I'm,
what we
I'm,
could even offer. What type of
I'm finna tell you what's gonna happen. She's gonna lose the kids because her hate for him is more than
the love that
the
she has
love
for
that
them.
she
We
has for
know
her
it's
kids.
minimal because it's all about her. Like you couldn't potentially want to crash out like this to the point that you are like she is a bold case. A lot of times the parental alienation that we see is kind of underhanded, but she was doing this in front of him and in front of the kids in a way that
But
it's
remember what
like,
I told you about my situation. I noticed some of those things.
oh, you talking about before y'all split that she was
Yes,
doing it, but you just didn't know that that's what it
I
was.
didn't understand it, but it was like what are you doing? Like
Yeah, like you will what tell.
I would tell my son something because my daughter wasn't born yet,
Mhm.
and she'd turn around and tell him something different. Like you don't have to do that. And I'm looking at her like, what? I'm the one that disciplined in this house anyway. So like, what are you doing? And now my son, that's 4 years old, just looking at both of us like,
What to do,
yes,
making him choose which parent to listen to. And so
that's
y'all, and then this is crazy. Like the way that these people are messing these kids up psychologically, and you think that you're doing something good for them.
I got a good point to make for those that's watching. You see how if you was watching and when he said that on her order that it was scribbled out, but on his order it states one thing. Y'all gotta make sure that y'all read these orders over thoroughly before y'all sign off on it with y'all lawyers or whatever. Like you can't just trust your lawyer words for it because it's human error. You got to make sure you look over it thoroughly and make sure it fit everything that you need because this is something that you got to abide by for the rest of the 18 years or whatever how many years this order is in existence. So that's crucial because she's playing the game. She's playing off of the fact that this scribbled out on her end. She's manipulating the system, and eventually, or maybe not.
Hopefully, it will catch up with her.
Yeah,
Cause it's, and I know I hate to say it, and people will try to have their opinion about me stating that because nobody really wants to take kids from a parent unless they deserve to have them taken. And so the courts know what's in the best interest of the children once they really know what's really truly going on. And so someone like this, how he explained and described the type of mom she is, to me, in my opinion, that is not a good parent. To me, in my opinion, she should not be the custodial parent. And if one day he gets custody, we would advise that he asks for supervised visits because she's so ready to, she's on a mission to crash out. Like that's how I view it. That's how I see it. It's nothing good that's going to be the end all of this because she won't stop. And we can't say it enough. Like when is enough enough?
enough is enough is when them kids is living with their father. And then he's got to deal with all these lifelong traumas that they have behind parental alienation. And it's just sad, man. It's sad that people don't think to put their kids first in certain situations like this. It's already bad enough that they parents is splitting, and then you making it difficult for them. Like that's crazy. She said he said his son threw his stuff out on the lawn because after his mama did it. Like, come on, man.
Just being, a mini her, like following all the things that she's saying and doing.
And if he whooped him, his son at that time, and then just imagine how that would have made his father look. So that put him in a tough situation because he's already inside of their head, causing a division.
It's there.
Yeah.
And at some point, some dads can't even take this. They don't move forward. Some of them even take their own lives because they just don't see any resolution. And people don't think that this stuff is real. It's very much real. It's very much so real. If he decided to say, hey, you know what, I'm done. I'm not dealing with this, then he would be called what? A deadbeat. So it's all about the way you look at it and the way you are educated on this stuff, like we are, because we personally went through it. If you've never been through it, you would never understand it. I don't care how many stories you see and hear, but this is why we do it, because we want to raise the awareness and get people to understand what this stuff really looks like. And yeah, I don't know, like
Yeah.
I'm taken back by some of the stuff he said.
Oh, he back. We got him back.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we hear you. So
All right.
one question we didn't ask
Yeah,
you
just
before
move locations.
before you led this plan, we never asked you this question. Who's the deadbeat?
You want to call them out straight out?
Be truthful.
Yeah, no, I don't know. The name is Rachel, my ex-wife.
And why is she a deadbeat?
Because she's alienating her kids from their dad. That's, it doesn't, it just be, I'm showing up. I'm trying to be there every weekend for my kids and try to be there for them. And she's doing everything she can to make sure I don't. And she turns them against me for no reason whatsoever. For whatever the reason may be, I think it's for her own selfish reasons. And I think maybe some of it has to stem with child support on top of it, because the way that she is and how she's so good dependent on her parents for financial needs when she needs them to be, and they've always been there for her and bailed her out of all the situations. So yeah, that's I just can't imagine why anybody would want to make their sons or their child feel like their other parent. And I mean, don't get me wrong, there are parents who are bad parents, and there are people who don't deserve to have relationships with their kids. And that's how life is. But I'm not that person, and there's no reason for her to be trying to do these things. I have a high profile position in my city, and a lot of people, know who I am, and I work for a lot of organizations, including, or I've done a lot of work and support a lot of organizations, including domestic violence organizations and Boys and Girls Club, and do a lot of things with them. I'm very active with my kids and the things that I do. So all of this is, and one thing that was really crazy, like in the beginning of the divorce process, she put up a post on Facebook, and we were still friends at the time, that said, "Why didn't she leave?" And you may even be able to go see it right now. I think it's a public post because
Mm.
my attorney got to go see. I can't see anything else, but he saw it when he went to go look at her page. But um, it said, "Why didn't she leave?" And it was just a meme that said things like, "Because he threatened that he would hurt her family if she left him," and like really dramatic things. And I was like flabbergasted that these she was putting it up there. And then I sent it to her mom, which her mom and her dad never had a problem with me. They know who the person I am. And I said, "Do you believe any of this?" And they said, her mom says, "Why do you assume it's about you? She just posted something back on her Facebook page." And at that point, I'm like, this is going
Wow.
to, maybe this is a generational thing, I guess, because
Mhm.
the gaslighting, you think that I was
Yeah,
really going
like,
to hurt you? Her mom had no fear of me.
like
They
I
had
mean,
no
y'all
fear
was
of me.
just married for 12
And
years. I
nothing
mean,
happened.
being together for 12 years, married 10. Like,
I mean, was
who
there
else was she
ever
talking
was
about?
there ever any domestic
Yeah.
violence,
Who else is she
documented
leaving? I don't
between you
know.
guys before that?
What's that?
Was there ever any domestic violence documented between you guys before the divorce?
Um, there was not documented domestic violence. There was some instances where she had one night. Um, her family's Jewish, and I'm sorry, her dad's Christian, her mom's Jewish, so they always celebrated both holidays. She's Jewish, I'm Christian, so I took on the relationship too. We celebrate both holidays. Well, there was a Jewish holiday next door to her parents' house, and my son Jake, who was a little younger at the time, a very picky eater, has always been a picky eater, didn't want to eat. And her sister and brother-in-law, or my brother-in-law and her sister were there for the dinner. Nice little, I think it was Rosh Hashanah or something, and he didn't want to eat. And she kept telling Jake, "You need to eat. You need to eat." And she was yelling at him in front of everybody. And I told him, I was like, just go. She's like, "No, Bubby made all this food tonight, and he needs to eat it." And I said, "Well, just not in front of the family. Don't yell at him. Like he doesn't see his aunt and his uncle very often." I was
Hmm.
just trying to not embarrass my son in front of everybody because he wouldn't eat. And she was really making a scene about it. And he just didn't like the food. Not that he didn't like the food. He was just he's always been a picky eater since he was born. He didn't want to take a bottle. Like he was
Right.
always been tough to feed. So finally, when I said something, she goes like, "You stay out of it," and just jumped on me too. And I said, "Jake, you want to go next door?" Because they live next door. I said, "Well, I'll make you a protein shake or something." He's like, "Yeah." So we went next door. I was making the protein shake. She comes back over there and she's all yelling, "You're not gonna make him a protein shake for dinner tonight," and just screaming at me. And then her mom comes in, and then she takes the protein shake that I had and threw it down into the sink, splatters all up over the ceiling. And I said, "Come on, Jake, we're going to go." And so me and him started to go. I was going to take him somewhere else to get something to eat. And then she jumped in between us, pushed him out of the way, and started hitting me 2 or 3 times. And I just kind of leaned back and I was like, "What is wrong with you?" And then I went out to my car. Her mom, and I told her, I was like, "You're going to jail." And I should have called the cops that night because I probably wouldn't be in this situation. But for me as a man, we don't want that. I'm more like, you know
Yeah.
Yeah.
what? Let's get past this. It's not better for everybody to do this. She had a
Mm-hmm.
moment, but now I'm thinking maybe I should have done that. So, but yeah, she hit me 3 or 4 times, and I just
I
kind
was
of I
actually
shielded
talking
it. And
about
her,
you doing something to her. I was actually
no,
saying,
I've
was there
never,
anything documented where you were the offender and it was a domestic violence situation
no,
in your 10 year of your marriage, right? Nothing,
nope,
right? So
nope,
why now all of a
nothing.
sudden Yeah, that's the point that I
And
made. She
you
wanted.
have no record of anything, and y'all was together all this time. So let me ask you this: if it could be a perfect world, what would that be?
If it could be a perfect world,
Yeah,
well, outside of marriage or
for this situation, yeah.
for this, that we could co-parent, that she could, that my kids deserve 50-50. They deserve to have both their mom and their dad in their life. And my feeling is that they need that. They need to have a well balanced upbringing and love in their lives, not two parents fighting all the time, because it's just going to make them better humans as they grow up. So in a perfect world, her and I could communicate effectively. We could talk about things and say, you know what, maybe I don't see maybe your side, I understand what your point. We do what's best for the kids. That's a perfect world for me. Unfortunately, she doesn't see it that way.
Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah.
That's tough,
Hey, you know
man.
what? I mean,
You
it
went
is
through a
tough,
lot,
and
man.
yeah,
When
it's
the
not.
last
I'm
time you
not.
said you
But
seen your kids?
well, I saw my son Brady Tuesday night.
And then the
He
other
still
one,
comes over. He hasn't stayed the night yet.
what about
I'm
the
trying to
older
get
one?
him. I saw he came over. Here's the thing. The night she had me arrested in the house was the last time I saw him until the day after Christmas, because I still bought him presents. Kept calling him, kept texting him, telling him, we're gonna work this out. We're gonna get through this. I kept being positive reinforcement, say every day, saying, "Hey, how was your day?" He doesn't respond to my text or do anything like that. Um, but Christmas time, he came over. I guess he wanted to get presents, which is not a good behavior for them to have. I don't want them just
No,
to
it's
use
not.
me because they're gonna get something. But I also wanted to spend the time with him, and I already, it's my son. I don't
Yeah.
blame him at all. He's only 10 years old, so
So if you could,
his
if he was
influence.
listening right now, what would you say to him right now?
That I understand that you may not understand what's happening, but I've always loved you. I'm never doing anything to put your life in danger, and eventually we're gonna work this out. This is gonna get worked out, and we're gonna be good. I'm always gonna be here for you no matter what.
Okay.
Fair
All
enough.
right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, man, for sharing your story.
Joining us and
Yeah.
keep us posted because we always
Yeah.
want to know, the outcome for everybody. You're part of our community. We want the best for the kids and of course you. I know this has taken a toll on your mental. I'm not sure what you're doing to cope with this, if you have a strong support system, but you have us. So I just want to extend that.
Yeah. That's
Do you
that's
have a
that's
strong
been one of
support
my.
system?
I have my family in Oklahoma that I talk to, my friends. Outside of that, it's been pretty lonely. It's
So
been I have my moments, like I never knew what
take your
Take
I
it
never
time.
knew what depression felt like until now.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
Yeah.
But it don't. I'm gonna tell you this from the other end. It don't last forever.
Yeah,
And
I know.
you're a father that's fighting. So
and I think, we think you've done exceptionally well. Just, keeping your composure, everything. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. I
And
I, I have my moments.
so what I'm saying to you, if you're a father that's fighting and someone that fight with so much force and it's never about the kids, she's gonna slip up. And
Mhm.
I'm a firm believer that you're gonna have custody of your kids. You just have to continue to put in the work and don't so much depend on your lawyers all the time. You got to put in the work yourself. And I believe you're gonna get custody of them if she's keep behaving this way because she's
Yeah.
making a major mistakes right now. And if you get her on a contempt, you can use that to help you modify the order too as well. And I'm just speaking for personal experience. I'm not a lawyer, but um,
Yeah.
what are some of the things you doing to deal with your mental?
Um, Keeping close to the gospel. I've been just
Mm.
yeah, that's a tough one. It's been, I've been leaning, closer to God, staying focused on my jobs. I've worked two jobs right now. I'm just working, just trying to just keep myself busy. It's worse when I'm here by myself, at
Yeah,
home at night.
yeah. At night,
Sometimes it's just, yeah,
at night
yeah.
it
So,
gets you, man. It gets
yeah,
you at night. But I'm gonna tell you this. I think you should just find a hobby, not nothing that, of course, that can damage you. The gospel is always number one for me. But what I'm saying
yeah,
to you is, find you a hobby, like working out or something like that. It works. It helps.
yeah.
You can't never keep your kids off of your mind. It just comes and goes, and like you said, especially at nights, that's when it gets sleepless. You get a lot of sleepless nights. But we're here for you, man. Just you feel free to hit me, hit us in the DM, man, and I'll talk with you, man. I'll do whatever I can to help you through it.
I appreciate that. To be honest, I found your page like a while ago when a lot of this started happening. I was going through and I was looking for like just because there's issues that happened long before this, but it just really got ramped up into where I thought I was in like a psychological thriller movie. When the divorce started, there was things that were happening where I was like, "Is this real life?" Like, I mean, this is something that you'd watch a movie in and be like, that's something you were living through in a movie. Like you're mentally being, messed up. Like someone's telling you this is what you're seeing, but then on the other hand, you're living with someone who's trying to turn your kids against you, and it's like it's a weird thriller, like a psychological thriller
Hmm.
episode that I went through. So there's been a long time. I mean, let's go back a little bit because another thing that kind of got me on this is that there was a moment when our kids were a little bit younger and her older sister, they didn't want to watch our dog when we went to Disney with her parents. So we were going to take the kids to Disney with her parents. And her sister would always watch the dog. We had a dog that was really rambunctious. And they were at a restaurant one night talking about, the dog sitting situations if they would watch our dog. And her 14-year-old niece, I think at the time, was like, "Oh, we don't want to watch Ginger. She's so And our dog was like one of these dogs, just rough all the time.
Mhm.
And then she yelled at her 13-year-old niece in the middle of the restaurant and said, "Shut up. No one's talking to you. No one's asking you what you." And her parents got on, like, you had no right to talk to your niece like that. Well, her sister and her niece got up and left the restaurant. They didn't stay. And so from that, because they didn't take her side in this argument, she kept our kids from her parents for almost 3 months.
Oh,
So
Wow.
this
wow.
is the type. That's how she manipulates and hurts people is by taking things, trying to hurt
And
them.
that's
So
so.
for
With
her
that
own
being
parents, she's done
said, I don't
everything for
understand.
her
With that being said, I don't understand why would they be
On
not
her
on
side.
her side or not understanding where you coming from.
Because they know that they
because they're
helped
trauma
create the
bond too.
monster. It's probably you.
They don't want to lose the love of their daughter. They want to do everything they can. They got money to pay for her to bring her back. And you know what? What
A
happened
guilt
was like
trip.
Christmas Eve. Even though that her mom's Jewish, Christmas Eve is a bigger celebration. They have all the family there. They spend lots of money. You write out your Christmas list, and they just get you whatever you want on the Christmas list. So literally, her dad kept saying, "Y'all need to make up because we're not going to have Christmas if y'all don't make up." And eventually, she made up with her family. And then, like a week before Christmas, and so she got all the gifts that she wanted, and
Not to
it was just
mention,
very.
not to
At that
mention
time, I
the
was like, this
grandparents.
is so something's wrong here
They
mentally.
don't
There's
want to be away
something's
from
not
the
right. If you can keep your
kids.
parents away from your own kids because it didn't take your side when you're
Yeah.
completely wrong. I told her
Like
parents,
my
and I
like
told her, I
my
was like, "You're wrong. You don't yell at a 13-year-old in a restaurant."
like my wife just said. That
They
Go
don't
ahead.
want to be away from the kids. That's why they're dancing to
Yeah,
her tune.
yeah,
That's the really
She used them.
yeah. Like most fathers, they dance to the
yeah.
tune.
It's the kids are her pawns,
Yes, for sure.
and not just with
I think
you.
we're breaking up
You've
a little.
seen it. firsthand.
What's that?
The kids are her pawns, and not just with you, with them too. And you've seen it
Oh
firsthand.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Watched her use them to manipulate people and hurt them, and punish them. So that's why her
Oh,
parents are really on board as well, because they want their way. They want their way.
Yeah.
they don't want to turn against her because they know what she will do.
Yeah.
And during
Exactly.
that time, I would talk to her mom.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, her mom would tell me that she needs to be Baker acted because she was keeping the kids from her parents, and like we had conversations about a lot of these things. Another thing I didn't realize too is when she took this job in a different county and then she quit it after 2 weeks because she couldn't work in the county that she was banned from. She told you she was crying to her mom. Her mom said she's going to run her van into a wall because she had to go back to that job. Well, that was a manipulation tactic to get her parents to say, you know what, we don't go back to that work. We'll help you pay the bills. And so
That's
for
what you
almost a
said.
year during our divorce
Yes.
process, they paid her $1,000 a week.
What?
Like in her, just put
She's such the
yeah.
victim. These people
And
are
they paid her
mass manipulators.
So
yeah,
I'm quite
and
sure
they
they
paid for
haven't paid
her
for the
attorney.
lawyer too. Yeah.
They
I was
go
just
yeah, they
saying
paid
that.
for it all.
Wow.
Because she went to her parents and told them that she thought she made a mistake, and she even told me, he's like, my dad said, don't worry about the money. If you want to save your family, go save your family. But at that point, I was like, I'm done. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's so bizarre. I mean, I never seen anything like this. I didn't ever see it coming either. So after that, when she lost her job the last time, and she was coming home depressed. She's like, y'all don't need me. I can't keep a job after 4 years in a row being fired. Y'all be better off with me. I was like, no, the kids would be lost without you, because she was acting like she was going to do something. Her mom had told me that that time when she was in college, her first week in college was at FSU. And she hated it so bad, she told me that she cried to her parents, and her parents came and moved her to UCF the next week because she hated that campus and hated the school. And that's what she told me. Fast forward to 10 years later when she got fired for the last time, and she was acting all depressed that she couldn't keep a job, and her mom was like, starting to run her van into a wall or whatever. Her mom told me, she's like, she tried to commit suicide before. I was like, no. She's like, when she was at FSU. And now it made sense. The first time she told me that she she hated this campus so bad she cried to her parents and they moved her to UCF. What her mom told me is that she took her first week at UCF. She didn't know I didn't know this, but she said she took a bunch of pills and we had to go down there because she hated it at school. Or apparently, she tried to commit suicide at UCF. And so they took her out of UCF to move or to go to I'm sorry, Florida State, and then they moved her to UCF.
So now it
So she
explains
manipulated her parents there at 18.
Yeah, this is
that's
why.
why they
Is
was so
yeah.
nice. They were so nice to you and trying to get you to be in her life because
They
they
wanted
knew it
to
was a they
take
knew it
the
was
problem.
yeah. But all right then.
It's yeah. Before we let you go,
Okay.
I just want to say, um, have you said her name was Karen? Oh, never mind.
No, her
Never
name's
mind.
Rachel.
Okay, I thought it was Karen. Um,
No,
but have you ever heard of
might as
Betty
well be.
Broderick? You ever heard of Betty Broderick story?
No,
Betty
it sounds familiar.
Broderick.
If anybody watching,
If you're bored and you don't have anything to do after we get off of this,
go
Google
watch it.
it, go watch the movie, go do the research, and it's giving Betty Broderick. Um, yeah. So I like to always add that to certain stories when I see it very close to that, because it's very interesting. It is a psychological thriller. It's definitely a
Hmm.
psychological thriller.
Yeah.
And so to sum it up, just go watch the movie.
Yeah.
Go
And
watch the movie,
protect
because
your
this is giving very dangerous.
yeah.
It's dangerous.
Protect yourself, man.
Yeah.
Protect your physical and your mental, man. And
Keep us
feel
posted.
free to reach out, man. Yeah,
We
keep us
may be, we
posted.
may be reaching out to you, because
Yeah.
this is along the lines of one of the, like you said, bizarre, dangerous stories we've kind of ever heard.
And if you don't mind sharing
Yeah.
some of those videos too for educational purposes, you can feel free to do that too as well. As you said, I know you got
Yeah.
tons of them.
Yeah. I'm waiting for my court date for the contempt charges, and you know the sad part is that I want my kids to have 50-50. I mean, one of my last videos is like at the point where I was telling, like, you know, you can imagine a parent is telling a kid that the other parent is so bad for them. And then when you finally get them to court and the court sees that this person's wrong, and then they take the kids from a parent that was told that loved them the most and then placed with a parent that they were taught to fear by the other parent, that's devastating for them because they think they're
Yes.
put in harm's forced by the law and
Yes.
by the courts because they're just manipulated to think that. And that's my I don't want that for them. And I don't I feel
The thing
I'm
about it
afraid it's going
is
to come down to that.
the thing about it is, um, we us as fathers, we be in our head a lot. But I feel like you made a good mark on your kid's life by being in the household, spending time with them. You was there. You was there majority of their life. So they get older. And that's the one thing that these mothers do not calculate, that their kids get older and they start to understand. So we think on the outside looking in that these kids do not understand what's going on, or they that's not gonna like dead. And yes, it will be something there that you will have to overcome. But believe me,
Mhm.
these kids know that dead is fighting. And when these kids get out of her under her, that's when they're gonna spill all the beans to you, because but trust me, it's more going on in that household than you know about.
And on your
Yeah.
downtime, research the reunification process of a parent that was alienated from their child with like no contact, and how to rebuild that relationship and how to regain that trust and how to work on reestablishing that connection. Look up those steps, read about it, research it, and even when you start visiting with them more frequently, because I know one son is not as willing to come with you now as the other, but just start implementing that now. Insert that now so that it can already start registering. Even when they got to go back in that unhealthy environment with their mom, those memories will still be there. So you just have to keep doing what you're doing. You're already doing, like I said, an amazing job,
Yeah.
even just
Well,
faced and dealing with everything. So we know that you're thinking of the kids. Like, I don't want to re-traumatize them, and I don't want to do this, and I don't want to do that. But you still have to do what's in their best interest long term. This is just temporary, if
And
that makes sense.
and
mhm.
another thing, I always tell parents that you only can control what you can control. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
your kids have one parent that lost her mind, and then the other
Mhm.
parent that love them. So you can't spend your time just thinking about what's happening on that end, because that's she got a job too as a parent. And if she's dropping that ball, you can't hold that weight.
That's so true.
You can't.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Literally, like,
I know. I do my best to keep her name out of my mouth when they're with me and make sure that it's just
Yeah.
between me and them and
Yeah. Don't
never talk
speak on it.
even when they text, even when there's a text on their phone from, I say, hey, your mom's, you know, I tell them like your mom's texting you. I say in con, you know, I don't want, I, you know, I'm just a different person than she is. She wants to completely rid me of their lives. I want them to have a healthy relationship with both of us, and it's going to be a long
long
battle
journey.
with one of them.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and then this that's my biggest fear is them regretting, you know, having years of regret, you know, for me against me, thinking that I took them away from their mom, because their mom is. Look, if it wasn't for the narcissism and the alienation, should be an ideal mom. I mean, she does everything that the crap like takes them to she well maybe it's too much because up until still to this day, from what my son tells me, she still sits outside their doors in their bedrooms at night, which she's done that since they were since little. like
That's not
still
that's
sits
not
outside of their
good.
Not
bedroom.
good parenting.
That's not good
It,
parenting.
No,
it's good.
I know.
In on the surface of a
Yes.
kid being happy because they can go and have fun and blow bubbles and play games and all of that. But what is the mindset? What is the real
Motive.
deep, true soul? That's who she is.
Yeah.
Dependency.
And
She wants
she's
someone
not
to depend
just
on her.
showing them the good. So that's where you have to divide that and draw that line, because she's not just showing them that ideal mother that she could be. She's showing them the monster as well. So
Yeah, you can't say I'm a good
Yeah.
parent if just because I'm doing all these nice things, but then I turn around and have my kid throwing their dead stuff out in the middle of the yard.
no.
It's all the same. But all right then, man.
Thank you so much,
You have
Scott,
a
for
good night.
joining us, and just keep us posted.
Yeah,
We'll
you guys too. Thank you for the talk, and we'll be in touch.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a good
I'll
night.
keep you updated.
you. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Well, all right, y'all. That's it. Happy Friday. Hey, it's my birthday tomorrow, man. So we got to get up out of here. We about to turn up.
Not turn up. He letting y'all know how old
Oh,
we is.
so what I supposed to say?
I don't know. We're about to have a good time.
Talking about a good time.
Bye.
Finna do something. All right, y'all have a good one.
Well, what else supposed